Gotham, more than 3 decades ago.
That couple.
Yes, Batman. They're your parents.
Hey, hello, how do you do? Shady Doorags here. Yep, we're doing it again. Another long-awaited video that everyone's been expecting for over a year. Today we're going back to Batman Brave and the Bold to finally take a look at the heavily requested episode Chill of the Night. But before that, I do owe you intellectuals an explanation as to why it took me so long to get to this, and not gonna lie, it's pretty embarrassing. When I first started reviewing Brave and the Bold about 1.5 years ago, I got a lot of comments requesting me to check out this episode. Shady, you should review Chill of the Night. Chill of the Night is one of the best things ever made in a Batman cartoon. You need to review it. I've done the calculations and there's a 99% chance world hunger will end if Shady reviews Chill of the Night. With so many people requesting, I did something I don't normally do when I watch shows I've never seen before. I jumped ahead to watch that specific episode. And after watching it, yeah, I definitely did want to review it. So I came up with something brilliant. Chill of the Night is a Christmas episode, right? That obviously means I can review it during Christmas. I waited a whole year for December to come back around so that my Christmas present to you intellectuals would be a video you all waited very patiently for. Then December did come back around and I rewatched the episode. You remember how I said this? Chill of the Night is a Christmas episode, right? Unfortunately, the answer to that question was, no, Shady, it's not. Yeah, Chill of the Night has nothing to do with Christmas. If anything, it's a Halloween episode, which means I didn't have to put off reviewing it until Christmas time. The reason I thought it was Christmas focused is because the episode I watched before it was Invasion of the Secret Santas, which has scenes of Bruce as a child during Christmas. Yeah, my memory mixed up the two episodes because I watched them back to back. After I realized my mistake, I reviewed the actual Christmas episode instead, and then got busy with other projects before finally sitting down and writing the script for this episode. So yeah, very dumb thing I did, and now we can all have a big laugh at my expense. Well, really, it was at you guys' expense, since you're the ones who had to wait so long for the review. The episode starts at a museum where a magic-based villain Kadabra shows up to steal historic relics of famous magicians. As is standard, Batman shows up to save the day and brings another superhero along with him.
Don't worry, I brought an assistant.
Let's see, we're dealing with both magicians and real magic, so I'm guessing Zatanna? Predictable, but the good kind of predictable.
Your clumsy antics are no match for my sorcery.
Hi, Jeff Bennett.
Surrender, Abra. Don't make me say it backwards.
Hi, Jennifer Hale. Actually, while I'm pointing out voice acting, I want to give some attention to someone who I've noticed is constantly popping up in millennial cartoon credits. Mrs. Andrea Romano is a casting and voice director for a lot of shows of my childhood. She did work for Hanna-Barbera, Disney, Nickelodeon, and good golly goodness is her name splattered across Warner Brothers stuff. You can largely thank her if you enjoyed the voice work in any of the cartoons that are on the screen right now. She apparently retired some 5 years ago, but I'm very grateful for all the work she put in, and I don't think I could have found a more perfect moment to realize her importance, considering the voice work done in this specific episode.
Your famous backwards spells. Too bad you can't put everything into one magic word, like abracadabra!
You gotta make me actually this early in the episode. I'm not an expert on Zatanna in the comics, but word around the grapevine is that she doesn't actually need to say any magic words to perform her spells. She just does that to help her concentrate. Now that's not true for this version of the character, but like a lot of superheroes, she probably gets her powers nerfed whenever she's in a cartoon because my goodness gracious, are comic book characters broken. Yeah, that's what happens when your stories just never end. Bats and Zatanna proceed with their superhero shenanigans, and Kadabra does the smart thing by shutting Zatanna up. He then does the dumb thing by putting Batman in a death trap. Wait. How did she use that wand without saying any words? Kadabra spoke every time he used it. I doubt she's using her own magic since, you know, we just had that whole thing about how she needs to speak. Actually, why did the writers even have her do a spell at all if breaking the wand was just gonna end the magic anyway? Oh wait, that water tank is still there. Maybe it only ended the transmutation and enchantment spells, but the conjuration ones were permanent.
I had to train for years to fight crime, and all you do is talk backwards.
I guess this show slightly changed Bruce's history. He should know Zatanna went through serious training to get to where she is. All right, I hope you enjoyed that little bout because it wasn't relevant at all, and we're not going to see Zatanna again for the rest of the episode. Just like we saw in the other reviews I did, the section before the opener has nothing to do with the rest of its plot. I feel like I should complain that these segments are wasting time, but I don't feel like this show's fanbase would care, and is it a waste of time if they don't? We're still getting superhero team-ups, which is why anyone comes to this show. You know, probably a better way of thinking about these segments is seeing them as appetizers. They're not the big thing you came for, but they still complement the main event well. Although I will say for this particular episode, this very lighthearted segment kind of clashes with the serious tone of the main plot. After the intro, we go back in time to the infamous night with Bruce and his parents.
Ha! You know, Dad? That movie was pretty good after all.
Continuity error. In Invasion of the Secret Santas, it was showed that Bruce was not happy after leaving that theater.
Absolutely, son. We'll need to get you a bigger sword.
Another continuity error. That's the wrong voice. Well, actually, it's the right voice because Adam West is always welcome in Batman appearances, but I still notice the change. Of course, we all know what happens next. Bruce, Thomas, and Martha meet a very unfriendly meanie-face. Pearls, gunshots, only Bruce walks away and he develops some very Bat-themed issues. This montage isn't just for show, however. It's representative of a conversation being held by two otherworldly beings.
And so an ordinary mortal conquered tragedy.
Phantom Stranger! Not gonna lie, it's been a hot minute since I've seen you in anything. I kind of forgot you existed. In fact, I thought you were the spirit there for a second. You're the guy that got banished from heaven, right?
And became the greatest champion for the cause of justice.
Justice.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Green Lantern, the Spectre, Spirit of Vengeance.
What is justice without vengeance, Phantom Stranger?
Justice without vengeance is just that, justice. It can come with vengeance, but they're not inherently linked.
Simply a slap on the wrist and an invitation for evil to continue, unabated.
That's debatable, Spectre, but then again, I guess that's the point of this back and forth. The Spirit of Vengeance is only going to see justice if it comes with, you know, vengeance.
What would you have, Spectre? Batman to become like you? Dispensing punishment without mercy?
Well, would you look at that? The Spectre and the Stranger are debating the fate of another superhero. It's like Quiver all over again.
Batman's darkest hour is at hand. Soon he will confront the man who took his parents from him.
Spoilers? Jeez! Bad enough I gotta hear them from Twitter all the time. Spectre decides to make a wager with Stranger. If Batman goes full vengeance on his parents' killer, then he will become Spectre's new agent. If not, then he's free to do whatever he wants. Hey, maybe Batman should have a say in this? Like, can the Spectre just do that, make someone his agent? Oh wait, are we talking about another Hal Jordan situation? We transition to a hospital where a priest is visiting a gangster named Moxon who is on his deathbed. The priest asks Moxon if he has anything he wants to confess. Gee, the Stranger, the Spectre, and a priest. That's 3 Christian references back to back.
A while back, I took a hit out on Thomas Wayne. Remember him?
Who did you hire to do it?
It went all wrong, though. Wound up offing Wayne's wife, too.
Who was it?
You okay, sir? You looking mighty scary for a priest, and the green lighting and shadows are not helping.
What was the man's name?
Why do you care?
You're not the only one in need of forgiveness.
Oh, that's Bruce! Wow, good gravy. I was slow on the uptake there.
Yeah, okay. Some guy named... Chill.
Bats leaves the room and heads to... Whoa, look at that color scheme! God, I love that. A location where some of Moxon's men are hanging out. He drops in and begins interrogating them to find out who killed the Waynes. With Moxon dead, this is the only lead he has. So, if you're like me, you might be a bit confused on why Batman is still searching for a name even though Moxon told him it was Chill. Well, it's because Bats didn't know that was a name. He thought Moxon was just tripping on his deathbed.
Chill.
What do you mean I should chill? I'm perfectly relaxed.
It's kind of weird since Moxon literally said it was a name, so you would think Bats would at least check for someone named Chill in the criminal database, but the plot needed to get him here. One of Moxon's men tells Batman that they couldn't possibly know what he wants since that murder happened when they were all kids. They all try to gang up on Batman, but, you know, Batman. So Bruce, not satisfied with his non-answers, decides to remind everyone why he's called the Dark Knight.
Batman, restrain yourself.
This had better be important.
Batman, I'm here to offer you an insight into your parents' demise.
For some reason, it's very bone-chilling to hear Stranger talk to Bruce. Like, every time he says Batman, it hits way harder than I expected to. The Stranger takes Batman back in time and lets him know that he can interact with the past, but he can't really change anything. This will allow him to see what caused the target to be put on his father's back. Not so coincidentally, it also allows Bruce to spend one last moment with his parents.
I remember that costume of his. It must have been in the back of my mind when I designed this one.
And here I thought I was going to be one of a kind. I guess great minds think alike.
That is Adam West in a Batman getup, looking at an actual Batman and talking about how they're mentally in sync. That is such phenomenal writing, and it works on multiple levels. While all these things have meta meaning to any Batman fan, in story, it's still significant for Bruce to hear his father say they are like-minded.
Malone. Matthew Malone.
Firmly grasp it!
By the way, Matches Malone is a common alias used by comic Batman when he goes undercover. I wish I could say I knew that off the top of my head, but I had to look it up. Before Bruce can enjoy his parents for too long, the party's interrupted by past Moxon and his gang. Unfortunately, they came to a party where two Waynes are being voiced by two Batman actors.
How's your aim?
Impeccable, old chum.
There is nothing on earth that could possibly make me not love this episode. The two Batmen foil Moxon, but one gangster is able to get away, which Bruce recognizes as his parents' killer. Bats attempts to chase after the man, but is reminded by someone that this is all just a flashback.
Spectre, what's your stake in all of this?
That depends on you.
That's actually a very subtle foreshadow, keep it in mind. Despite now knowing the reason his parents died and recognizing the killer's face, Bruce is still clueless on the culprit's actual identity. Spectre is willing to give him that info, but not before poking at his mind.
What will you do once you find out?
I don't know.
Fast-forwarding memory to a more recent one.
10 minutes, Jill.
Chill. Moxon's last word. He named the gunman.
Bully for you. You're almost caught up to where I was an hour ago. Let's chat again in an hour when you've gotten to where I'm at now.
Yeah, he named the gunman. Moxon literally told you that's what he was doing, Bruce.
You've seen that man before.
Every time I close my eyes.
I don't think I've ever seen it stated canonically, but I'm fairly confident Bruce has a photographic memory.
You got some nerve showing up here after running out on the charity job.
I can even the score for you with Thomas Wayne. He's the reason you're in here, not me.
So you have a plan to get close enough to kill one of the most well-known and richest people in the country, if not the world. Yeah, okay, sure.
I'll make sure he suffers, him and his whole family.
Whatever, just make it look like an accident.
On his deathbed, Moxon said he didn't expect Chill to kill Martha, but here we see that Chill clearly said he was gonna do that. Also, Chill, if you were trying to make the whole family pay, you kinda missed one.
Where was justice?
Where indeed?
Spectre's voice is doing the most, almost like he's got experience manipulating Batman.
Take me to the Batcave. Now!
Do I look like Alfred? Well, you better be thankful you're on a path to vengeance ordering me around like that.
At last I have a name to go with that face.
Yes, at last.
So again I ask, what will you do with this knowledge?
This ends before dawn.
Hey, it's like that piece of media that just came out. I love being topical. But I'm not gonna say which piece of media because I also love being timeless. Batman, because he's Batman, knows exactly where Chill is gonna be, bidding off a super weapon to a bunch of Gotham's elite villains.
Just think of what it will do to Batman.
10,000.
15,000. Wasn't mine.
The return of both Bennett and Hale. Geez, Hale's voice is scarily fitting for Ivy.
Batman's here. Plant him.
I see what you did there. Batman single-handedly takes down every rogue there because he's not playing around tonight. Whew, safe. Ah, crap!
Joe Chill.
Glowy eyes silhouette. Marry me. Batman finally has the man he's been seeking. The man who did the act that set him down the path as the Caped Crusader. The man who killed his parents.
You are the slinking coward who murdered Thomas and Martha Wayne. I know because I am the son of the man you murdered. I am Bruce Wayne.
Whoa! Didn't see that coming. Well, I don't expect Bruce to actually go through with killing the guy, but Status quo dictates something does need to happen to him since he now knows Batman's identity. Joe tries desperately to fight Batman, you know, the guy who just took down a whole room full of supervillains, but shockingly gets the snot beat out of him.
Let your devotion to justice temper your rage.
Become what you have trained to be, an agent of vengeance.
Oh, I get it. It's like a shoulder devil angel thing. That's cool. I always enjoy when a show symbolically does something like that, and the voice actors of Spectre and the Stranger are doing a fantastic job. Wait a second.
He is beaten. Let your devotion to justice temper your rage.
He took your parents, ruined your life.
Holy the dongles, are you kidding me? Do you guys realize what we're watching? Can you fathom its brilliance? This episode has its iteration of Batman taking inspiration from the voice of the 1960s Batman, along with both the voice of the 90s Batman, a positive influence, and the voice of the 90s Joker, a negative influence, whispering in his ear on what path he should pursue. What room of geniuses sat down and made this episode? Because I thank them for doing that instead of solving Cold Fusion. But Shady, Mark Hamill's politics. I do not care.
He knows who you are.
Batman may die, but Bruce Wayne... never.
And so, Batman makes his choice. He's an agent of justice, not vengeance. Of course, the first thing Chill does is run to the other room for help.
Way back, I whacked a guy for a job, and now that guy's son is back for revenge.
What's his name? What's his name? I got nothing on a name.
That guy's son is Batman.
Come on, baby, what's the name?
No, the villains don't demand to know who Batman is, but instead they beat Chill up, now knowing that he's the reason their greatest enemy exists. It's pretty forced, and honestly, this plot hole was very easily avoidable. Just have chaos start before Chill can get a word out to anyone, and make sure he's not heard when he tries. Some more superhero shenanigans happen, and Joker, because he's the Joker, manages to bring the entire building down. And who should happen to be a casualty but...
I guess you got me. After all.
Kids cartoon My Foot, this episode had 4 very spelled out deaths in it.
Ultimately, it was karma that delivered the final blow to Joe Chill.
Wait, karma? Isn't part of the Spectre's job?
Funny how Chill just happened to be under that crumbling ceiling when it came down.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
I'm not about vengeance, but it is fun to watch Spectre do what he does best. By the way, remember this moment?
What's your stake in all of this?
That depends on you.
Yeah, the spirit of vengeance was always going to claim his prize. If Bruce had given in to temptation, there would have also been a new champion for the Spectre, but Astar was not going home empty-handed. The episode ends with Bruce hanging up his father's old costume, remembering where his inspiration came from, as well as finally being able to close the case that's been haunting him for so many years. And that was Chill of the Night. I mean, what can I say? 11 out of 10. The casting alone is worth a standing ovation. Add on that this show being about superhero team-ups brings in the perfect 2 co-stars to go on this journey with Batman. There are some nitpicks here and there, but those in no way are enough to sway me. Now the themes here bring up 2 topics that are interesting to discuss when it comes to Batman. First is him being a figure of vengeance. Even though he's been known to call himself that, the 90s version had a famous phrase that dealt with vengeance, most iterations of Batman don't fully go down that path. He tells himself he wants vengeance, but really Bruce's top motivation tends to be preventing more misery from being spread. Next is the whole no killing thing.
I have one rule. Oh, then that's the rule you'll have to break.
This topic comes up time and time again. Why shouldn't superheroes kill? A lot of times they'd be doing the world a favor. Just think of how many lives Batman would save if he took out psychopaths like the Joker. First of all, there are superheroes that kill and versions of superheroes that kill. Exhibit A. Second, every story about whether killing is bad is going to be context dependent. Many superheroes exist in an environment where becoming judge, jury, and executioner might have some immediate positive consequences, but would also ultimately result in worse ones down the line. The reason Batman specifically doesn't kill is the same reason Zatanna says her spells backwards. It's a mental exercise to keep him focused. Hey, I managed to make that relevant. Man, I am such a good YouTuber. If Bruce doesn't restrain himself, he'll lose sight of his goal, bringing wrongdoers to justice and helping the innocent. Killing is a permanent punishment, ignoring that comics like to make it not permanent. Once Batman starts taking lives, he'll no longer be balancing the scales of justice, but rather he'll be making his own brand of it, which isn't what Bats wants to do. He would also set a precedent for anyone looking up to him that they too can be the arbiter of who lives and who dies. It's the cliche of cliches when it comes to superheroes, but that's because it rings true. With great power, there must also come great responsibility. Batman knows he's on the edge. He knows he's one bad day away from becoming the evil he wants to reduce from the world. His ideals don't make things perfect, but they do make a difference to the person he's trying to be. And as someone who doesn't like the belief that the ends justify the means, I'm fairly happy that most versions of this character have the discipline to restrain themselves from going too far. Though, I'm not gonna lie, Bats wielding the Spectre's powers and taking vengeance on people? Yeah, I definitely read that comic. This has been Shady Doorags. So long. Farewell. Auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye.